Hello Synapse community, my name is Ryan Magitimer. I'm a product manager on the Azure Synapse Analytics team, and today is the March edition of the Learn Synapse series. Last month we talked about how to do data exploration with Apache Spark for Synapse and notebooks. Turns out it was super easy. This month we're going to be talking about how you can integrate Synapse with Power BI. Turns out it's also easy. We're going to be leveraging a Parquet file with the NYC Trips data. If you've been around Synapse long enough, I'm sure you're familiar with this data set. Well, let's jump in. In this scenario, on the Power BI service, we have a workspace called Azure Synapse plus Power BI demo. We've already have our artifacts such as reports and data sets. In this case, we're going to integrate this Power BI workspace with Synapse so we can benefit from the creation of new artifacts directly from our Synapse Studio. Let's jump into our Synapse Studio environment. On the home page of Synapse Studio, we just need to click on the Visualize option to integrate our Power BI workspace with Synapse. When we click on this option for the first time, we're going to see a page where we need to configure a connection as a linked service. We're going to give it a name, and then pick our tenant and workspace from the dropdown. Finally, we hit the Create option. To check that the create was successful, we can go to our Manage Hub and click on External Connections under Linked Services. There's a new one created under the name we selected before. We just need to now publish our newly created linked service. If we go to the Develop Hub from our left toolbar, we can see a new Power BI section with our linked service. As we expand the linked service, we can now check that there's an option for Power BI datasets that show the datasets that we already have in our Power BI workspace, as well as the Power BI reports that we also have in the workspace. Now, if we want to create a new dataset, we'll hit the option New Power BI Dataset in the top toolbar. That's going to open a whole new screen where we can check what we need to install, which is Power BI Desktop. Power BI Desktop is a prerequisite to be able to play and create a new dataset. After we click on the Start option, we're going to see an additional window asking for our data source, where we can select between one of our existing databases. In this case, we're going to select a database that we already have in our Synapse environment and click Continue. Then, we're going to download a Power BI Data Source Definition, or PBIDS file. This file can be opened with Power BI Desktop and connects Power BI Desktop directly to our Synapse database. When we open this PBIDS file with Power BI Desktop, we're going to notice that the connection is automatically established with our Synapse environment to our SQL endpoint. Now, we can directly select objects, tables, and views that we might want to use to create our dataset. In this case, we already have some datasets in our Power BI environment. So let's go back to our Synapse instance and pick one of those datasets. One interesting option is that we can create a new report for Power BI based on a dataset from our Synapse Studio environment. We can start with this new report with a dataset that's already connected to our Synapse SQL pool. I can just start dropping some visualizations onto our canvas. In this case, let's do a column chart that shows the number of trips by year. Let's add another chart with the number of trips by vendor. Then we can slice the data. The behavior is exactly as we expect from Power BI. We also can save this report directly to the Power BI service. Of course, this report is also going to be available in Synapse Studio. Now, let's head over to our Power BI service where we can see our newly created sample report and see that it looks exactly the same as it does in our Synapse Studio UI. Let's go back to our Synapse Studio homepage. Click again on our Visualize option, Notice that this time the behavior is quite different. Since we already have a connection established to our Power BI workspace, we now just have to pick the dataset that we're going to use for our new report. One of the main questions around this connectivity is it possible to create more than one connection to different Power BI workspaces? And the answer is yes. Heading to our Manage option in the left toolbar, it lets us add a new linked service. Here, let's search for Power BI, define a new name for our linked service, select the tenant from the dropdown, and point to another Power BI workspace. We now have two Power BI linked services pointing to two different Power BI workspaces. If we head to the Develop tab, we can see both linked services under the Power BI structure. Now, let's talk quickly about permissions for this integration. On the Power BI side, you want to be a member, contributor, or owner on the workspace. If you're going to create a new dataset or report, if you want a more granular level of permissions control, you can grant build permissions on your dataset. On the Synapse side, we can go to the Manage option on the left toolbar under Security and Access Control and check your user has at least two roles. Synapse Linked Data Manager, which will allow us to create linked services, and Synapse Artifact User, that allows you to list existing artifacts in our Develop Hub, such as the one we created with our Power BI linked services, and like the reports and datasets. Well, that wraps up our video for today. We covered how easy it was to integrate Synapse with Power BI. Tell us in the comments, do you integrate Synapse with Power BI? I'd love to hear about it. Again, my name is Ryan Majitimer. You can find me on Twitter. More importantly, you can find Synapse on Twitter, Azure _ Synapse. You think after this many times I'd be able to say that smoothly. At any rate, more importantly than all of that, if you like social media, if you like Twitter, MySpace, LinkedIn, I'm sure there's other cool social media platforms people are using, I have just the program for you, the Azure Synapse Influencers Program. That's right, an exciting, exclusive program for all of you influencers out there. We've got titles, champion, contender. There's a third one. We do giveaways. We give away free stickers, mugs, all sorts of fun stuff. It's very exciting, very easy to sign up. Click the link in the description of this video. It takes 2 seconds. Fill out some information. Get your fancy new badge telling you which title you have of the 3. That's right. Well, like, comment, subscribe. Thanks for watching, and we'll catch you on the next one.